My hand froze on the doorknob. The house was too quiet. Not peaceful quiet, wrong quiet. Like when you walk into a room and know someone's been through your things. I was still in my coat Tuesday, bridge game had run late, and I'd left the house in a hurry that morning. The October sun was already setting, bleeding orange through the living room windows. I should have felt the warmth. Instead, I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. Dorothy? She was already there, standing in the hallway like she'd been waiting for me. My daughter-in-law. The woman who called me sweetie in that voice that made my teeth ache. "Hi, honey," I said carefully, unbuttoning my coat. "What are you doing here? Is Michael okay?" "Everyone's fine," she said, still smiling. That smile? I'd seen it before at the wedding, 5 years ago, when she'd looped her arm through Michael's and tilted her head up at him like she owned him. "I actually came by to help you with something." My stomach dropped. I moved past her toward the bedroom without answering. I don't know why. I just knew. The jewelry box was on my dresser where it always was, mahogany with a tiny brass latch, worn smooth from 58 years of opening and closing. 58 years. My engagement ring was in there. My mother's pearls. The diamond earrings Michael's father had given me on our 30th anniversary, 3 months before the stroke took him. My hands were shaking before I even opened it. "Dorothy, before you," she started behind me. Empty. The velvet lining stared back at me, a pale gray like a dead man's skin. Every single compartment was bare. No rings, no necklaces, no bracelets, no pearls. "Where?" I whispered. Not a question, a demand. She stepped into the room. I could see her reflection in the mirror above my dresser, still smiling. "I donated them," she said, "to a women's charity downtown. Women who've lost everything, abusive situations, homelessness. I thought it was so perfect, you know. You weren't using them anymore, and they could really help someone." I turned around slowly. My fingers gripped the edge of the dresser. "You did what?" I know it's such a generous thing." She was still talking in that bright, chirpy voice, like she was proud of herself. "I actually told Michael about it first, and he said it was really sweet. He said his dad would have wanted—" "Stop." My voice came out thin, brittle. "You went through my personal belongings without asking me?" She laughed, actually laughed, like I'd told a joke. "Oh, Dorothy, come on. You're not going to need those anymore anyway. You're 72. At some point, don't you just want to let go of all this stuff? You're clinging to the past. It's not healthy." I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was wearing a new dress. Something expensive looking, black, with a neckline that showed off the diamonds I'd given her for her birthday last year, a peace offering when Michael had asked me to be nicer to her. The diamonds caught the lamplight. They threw little rainbows across her chest. "Michael gave me permission?" I asked quietly. "Well, he didn't say not to. He said, 'That's not permission.'" I turned back to the mirror. My reflection looked smaller than I remembered. Older. "My mother wore these pearls. When she was dying in the hospital, she made me promise I'd keep them. She said they were proof that I'd always been loved, that no matter what happened in my life, I had proof." "Dorothy, that's so sad." "But they were just—" "Get out." She blinked. The smile finally slipped. "What?" "Get out of my house." She left. Not quickly, she walked down the hallway with her head held high, her new dress swishing, like she'd won something. Like she'd come into my home, stolen the most precious things I owned, and somehow come out the hero. I heard the front door close. Then I sat down on the bed, the same bed where Michael was born, where my husband and I had lain on the last night before his surgery, and I felt something crack open inside me. Not grief, not exactly. Something else. Something colder. That night, I opened the drawer in my nightstand. Inside was a leather-bound journal. I'd started it 2 months ago, just little things at first, things Michael had mentioned during our weekly Sunday calls that didn't quite add up. "Mom, Diane thinks it's better if we don't do the traditional Thanksgiving thing this year, just the 2 of us." But her name was not Diane. It was Diane. No, that's not right either. Her name doesn't matter anymore. What matters is the pattern. I flipped through my handwriting. July 15, Michael called me. Sounded tired. Said Diane had asked him to close his business email because clients stress him out. He agreed. August 2. Diane told Michael he couldn't have lunch with me anymore on Sundays because it was their couple time. Michael said, I know. August 14. Michael missed his father's birthday remembrance dinner, first year in 11 years. Diane said Michael was too exhausted to come. Michael didn't even call to apologize. September 3. I saw a post on Diane's Facebook. Michael in the background at someone's house, somewhere I'd never been. Smiling. When did he smile like that? Not since. I wrote down today's date. October 7. Diane stole my jewelry. All of it. Told me I was clinging to vanity. Michael said it was really sweet. He agreed with her. How does he agree with her without even talking to me? Then I wrote one more line, and as I wrote it, my hand felt ice cold. This isn't about the jewelry. There's a pattern, and it's deliberate. I set the pen down and looked at the wall. At the photograph on my dresser, Michael and me at his college graduation, his arm around my shoulders, both of us laughing at something his father had said. When was the last time he'd looked at me like that? When was the last time he'd looked at me at all? And then it hit me. A thought so sharp it made my breath catch. What if this isn't just about isolating me from my son? What if there's something else? Something worse? I opened my laptop with trembling fingers and pulled up the life insurance website. Just a hunch. Just a dark, terrible thought I couldn't shake. It took me 20 minutes to find it. A $500,000 life insurance policy. On Michael. Issued 3 months ago. The beneficiary was listed as Diane. But Michael's signature on the application form was wrong. All the curves were too sharp. The pressure of the pen too heavy in places where his hand would never press down. It was forged. My son's wife had taken out a life insurance policy on him, with his name forged, and she was the one who'd collect if anything happened to him. That's when I understood. This wasn't cruelty. This was a crime. And my son was in real danger. The kitchen was dark, except for the glow of my phone. 2:47 a.m. I hadn't slept. I'd been sitting at this table for 7 hours, scrolling through my phone like a woman possessed, piecing together a puzzle I'd been too blind or too afraid to see. My journal was open in front of me. My reading glasses sat crooked on my nose. Cold coffee in a mug I'd forgotten about hours ago. I pulled up my text thread with Michael. 2 years ago. Hi, Mom. Dad's birthday lunch Sunday? I'm in. What time? Can't wait to see you. Love you so much. 1 year ago. Mom, maybe next month instead? Diane thinks Sundays work better for us. 6 months ago. Sorry about lunch. Work stuff. I'll call you soon. Last month. K. Just K. Not even okay. Just K. I scrolled through every birthday dinner invitation I'd sent him. January, February, March, April, May. Every single one had a variation of the same response. Can't make it, Mom. Diane has something planned. Never, I have something planned. Always Diane has something planned. As if he were a prop in her life, an accessory. I clicked on his Facebook. His last post was from 2 weeks ago, a photo of him and her at a restaurant I'd never heard of. He was smiling, genuinely smiling, his arm around her shoulders. The caption read, "Finally got some alone time with my beautiful wife." Just what we needed. Alone time with his wife. Not lunch with his mother, not a phone call, not even a text. Alone time with her. I felt something hot crawl up my throat. I opened my calendar app and scrolled back through the past 5 years. Every family event, every birthday, every holiday. I marked an X through each one Michael had missed or canceled. Easter 2020, X Thanksgiving 2020, X Christmas 2020, X My Birthday Dinner 2020, 1, X Father's Day Remembrance 2020, 1, X Thanksgiving 2021, X. I stopped counting after I hit 43. 43 times my son had chosen her over me. 43 times I'd pretended it didn't hurt. I pulled up my email and searched for messages from Michael. I needed to see when this started, when he stopped being my son and became her husband. There it was, an email from 5 years ago, 3 months after they met. Mom, I need to talk to you about something. Diane thinks I've been too dependent on my family. She says a healthy marriage means putting your spouse first. I think she's right. I hope you understand. I'm sorry if this upsets you, Em. I read it 3 times. She says, he didn't think, he didn't decide, she said, and he just agreed. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was his bank statements. I know how it sounds. But Michael had made me his emergency contact on his account, just in case, and the statements came to my email because he'd accidentally listed my address. He'd never changed it. I should have told him. But after the first year, after I saw what was happening, I kept quiet. Because the patterns were all there. January 2021, $50,000 transferred to a joint account, just him and her. March 2021. His business, the architecture firm he'd built from nothing, showed a sudden drop in income. Diane thinks you should scale back, he told me on the phone. Too much stress. September 2022. 60,000 more transferred. His savings account, nearly empty. February 2023. A new account opened. Only her name on the signature card. Last month, his business officially closed. Michael took a job as a junior architect at a smaller firm. A junior architect at a firm she'd recommended. Where, I later found out, one of her cousins worked in HR. She was dismantling him, piece by piece. And he was letting her. I stood up, walked to the sink. My hands were shaking. I needed to see her social media. All of it. Her Instagram showed the life of a perfect wife. Photos of Michael cooking dinner. Caption, finally teaching him how to make real food. Photos of them at parties with people I'd never met. Caption, my husband's so fun when he loosens up. Photos of their apartment, their car, their trips. In almost every photo, Michael looked tired, or confused, or like he was trying to smile on command. I scrolled back. Months and months of content. And then I found it. A photo from 2 weeks ago. A casual shot her in their kitchen, holding a coffee mug, laughing at something off camera. But in the background, on the counter behind her, was a document. I zoomed in. My vision blurred. It was a life insurance form. I could see the header clearly, life insurance application. Below that, a name, Michael Reynolds. And at the bottom, a signature I recognized. Not Michael's, hers. As beneficiary, I zoomed in closer, my hands trembling so badly I could barely hold the phone steady. $500,000. Listed as pending approval. But pending approval from whom? Michael didn't know about this. He would have told me. Wouldn't he? Unless she never told him it was real. Unless she forged his signature and just waited. I sat back down at the table. My son. My beautiful, trusting son, who'd always been too kind, too willing to believe the best in people. She'd married him, and then systematically erased everyone he loved. She'd drained his bank account. She'd destroyed his career. She'd isolated him so completely that he probably thought he was happy. And now she'd taken out a life insurance policy on him, with his name forged. And she was the one who'd collect. I looked down at my journal, at all my careful notes, at the pattern I'd been documenting for months without even understanding what I was looking at. This wasn't about control. This wasn't about power plays or a cruel woman trying to hurt me. This was methodical, calculated, predatory. She'd married my son to destroy him, and when she was finished destroying him, she was going to collect $500,000. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it. It was from Michael. Mom? Haven't heard from you in a while. Diane and I are actually thinking about starting a family. She says we should move out of state. Fresh start. New opportunities. I'd like to talk to you about it before we decide. Are you free tomorrow? My hands went numb. Starting a family. Moving away. And that final line, "I'd like to talk to you about it," felt like goodbye. I looked at the clock. 3:14 a.m. Then I did something I'd never done before in my life. I hired a private investigator. The investigator's office smelled like burnt coffee and old paper. I'd walked in here 3 hours ago. I was still shaking. Her name was Cole. Not a name I'd expected for the woman who sat across from me, mid-50s, with silver hair pulled back tight and eyes that had seen things. Lots of things. She didn't flinch when I told her what I suspected. She just nodded and said, "I've seen worse." That terrified me more than anything else. 2 weeks. That's how long it took. She'd followed her, tracked her finances, pulled records, made phone calls to people who owed her favors. She'd been efficient and clinical about it, which somehow made it all feel more real, more dangerous. Now I was sitting at a metal table in her office, and she was sliding a folder across to me. "Before you read this," Cole said, "I need you to understand something. What you're about to see, it's going to hurt, and then it's going to make you angry. But anger is going to be your worst enemy right now. Can you hear that?" I nodded. I couldn't speak. I opened the folder. Power of attorney document. Michael's signature, but wrong. The same forged signature I'd seen on the insurance form. "She convinced him to sign it about 8 months ago," Cole said quietly. "Told him it was for tax purposes. He signed without reading it. I've got a copy of the email chain. She literally wrote, 'Just sign here, baby, trust me.' And he did." I stared at the words, "Trust me." How many times had she said that to him? What does it mean? The power of attorney? It means she can access his bank accounts, move money, make investments, sell assets. Everything he owns, she can control. And he probably doesn't even know it's that comprehensive. My hands were shaking so badly the papers rattled. Cole slid another document forward. "Last will and testament." "When was this changed?" I whispered. 3 months ago. Right after the power of attorney was signed, Michael met with an estate lawyer. She recommended him, of course, and changed his will. "Everything goes to her now, not a penny to charity." "Not a penny to you. Everything." "That's not." I couldn't finish the sentence. "It gets worse," Cole said. She pulled out a photograph, black and white, time-stamped. It was her walking into a bank. The date was stamped in the corner, the 15th of March, 2023, 2:34 p.m. "That's the day she opened the joint account," Cole said. "The one with only her name on the signature card. She went in alone. No Michael. Just her." The next photo. Her leaving the same bank 2 hours later, holding an envelope. Her smile was different in this one. Predatory. "That envelope contained the life insurance application," Cole continued. "I got confirmation from my contact inside the bank. She forged Michael's signature right there in the break room. Used a pen they had on hand. Walked out. Mailed it that day. It was approved within a week." "Why would she?" I started. "Because she's patient," Cole said flatly. "Because she's been planning this. All of it. The isolation, the financial control, the power of attorney, the will. The insurance. It's a timeline, Mrs. Reynolds. And the last piece of the puzzle is that $500,000 payout." I looked at the documents spread across the table. Insurance forms, bank records, photographs. Each one a brick in a wall I couldn't see until it was already built around my son. "There's more," Cole said. She pulled out a financial spreadsheet. Highlighted in yellow were dozens of transactions. Over the past 3 years, she's transferred approximately $187,000 from his business account to a separate account, her name only. He's never questioned it because she controls his email notifications. He literally doesn't know the money's gone. I felt my throat tighten. "My son's an architect. He built a successful business, and she's—" "Robbed him blind," Cole finished. "And she's got him isolated so completely that he thinks it's all his fault. She's probably told him his business was failing, that he's not good enough, that she's the only one who understands him." This was it. This was the moment I understood. She wasn't just a cruel woman. She was a predator. and my son was her prey. So what do I do? I asked. Cole leaned back in her chair. You've got evidence now. You can go to the police. File a report for fraud, forgery, elder abuse, because technically she's committing financial crimes against you too, with the jewelry. You can press charges, get a lawyer, have her arrested. And Michael? I asked quietly. Will probably hate you for it. The words landed like a punch. She's had 2 years to make him believe you don't care about him, that you're jealous, that you want to control him. Going to the police with this will look exactly like what she's been telling him all along, that you're trying to ruin his marriage. He might not even believe the evidence. She's good, Mrs. Reynolds. She's had time to prepare him for this moment. I sat there in silence. What's my other option? I asked. Cole smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. You do what she did. You play the game better. She stood up and walked to a filing cabinet, pulled out a folder marked with my name. I've documented everything, every transaction, every forged signature, every photograph. It's all here. If you want to use it with the police, great. But if you want to use it another way, she trailed off. I understood what she was saying without her saying it. I could blackmail her. I could manipulate her. I could become exactly like her. What would you do? I asked. Cole sat back down. She looked at me for a long moment. I'd find something she wants more than money, she said finally. I'd find her weakness, and then I'd exploit it until she had no choice but to tell the truth. I left that office with the folder under my arm. The jewelry. She'd donated it to charity. That was the first thing she'd stolen from me, the first domino, the first proof that she was willing to take things that didn't belong to her. What if I could get it back? What if I could make Michael see that his wife was a thief? What if I could use her own tactics against her? I pulled out my phone and called Michael. He answered on the 3rd ring. He sounded tired. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart, I said. My voice was steady now, calm. I wanted to apologize about the jewelry. I've been thinking about what you said about how you thought it was sweet that she donated it, and I realized I was being selfish. I want to make it right. There was a pause. What do you mean? I want to throw you and your wife a dinner party, I said. Just us, somewhere nice. And I want to give you both something, a gift, to apologize for being difficult. Mom, you don't have to. I want to, I interrupted gently. Next Saturday, I'll make all your favorites. Another pause. I could hear her in the background whispering something to him. Yeah, he said finally. Yeah, okay, that would be nice. Wonderful, I said. I can't wait to see you both. I'm going to make this really special. I hung up. Then I opened the folder Cole had given me. I looked at the photograph of her at the bank. Her smile, her confidence. She thought she had all the power. She had no idea that a 72-year-old widow was about to teach her what it meant to play for keeps. I knew exactly where the jewelry had been donated. And I knew exactly how to get it back. And once Michael saw that his wife was a liar and a thief, everything would change. Everything. The restaurant was crowded enough that no one would notice us. But not so crowded that my phone wouldn't pick up every word. I'd placed it on the table between us, inside my purse, the voice recorder app running. I'd tested it twice at home. The audio was crystal clear. Every syllable would be captured. She arrived 10 minutes late. Of course she did. She walked toward the table like she owned the room, head high, smile bright, wearing a black dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. One of Michael's paychecks, I thought bitterly. One of the thousands she'd stolen from him. Dorothy, she kissed both my cheeks. I'm so glad you called. I was worried we'd damaged our relationship. Damaged. As if she hadn't systematically dismantled it. I've been doing a lot of thinking, I said, gesturing for her to sit. My voice was steady. Warm, even. And I realized I've been unfair to you. You were trying to help me. And I was ungrateful. Her smile widened. She actually preened. I knew you'd come around, she said, ordering a salad without looking at the menu. Michael said you were stubborn, but I told him you'd eventually see that I only want what's best for him. Best for him. I picked up my water glass and took a sip, kept my hands steady. "Tell me something," I said carefully. "Why did you really donate my jewelry?" She laughed, actually laughed, like I'd told a joke. "Oh, Dorothy, be honest, were you really going to wear any of it? You're 72. Those pieces were just sad, reminders of a past that's gone. I thought donating them would help you let go." "You thought?" I tilted my head, confused, gentle. "Or did you do it to hurt me?" For a split second, her expression shifted. The mask slipped. Then it came back, but not quite as bright. "Why would I want to hurt you?" she asked, but there was ice in her voice now. "I don't know," I said. "Why would you? Unless getting me out of Michael's life was never about protecting him, it was about controlling him and maybe removing obstacles." She set down her fork. "What are you talking about, Dorothy?" I leaned forward. "I'm talking about the power of attorney you had him sign, the will you had him change, the life insurance policy you forged his name on." Her face went white. Actually white. "I don't know what you're—" "I know about the $187,000, I continued quietly. "I know about the separate account. I know you opened it with money you took from his business. I know you told him his architecture firm was failing so he'd give up. I know you isolated him from everyone who loved him so he'd have no one but you." She stood up, knocked over her water glass. "This conversation is over." "One more thing," I said. My voice was still calm, still gentle, but underneath it was steel. "This entire lunch is recorded. Every word you just said, every admission, every lie." She stared at me. Then something happened on her face. The careful construction of her features crumbled. What was left underneath was something I'd never seen before. Pure rage. "You think you're so smart," she hissed. "You think you can fix this. But Michael is mine now, Dorothy. He belongs to me, and there's nothing you can do about it." "Maybe," I said, "but I think he'll want to hear this recording first." She walked out of the restaurant without another word. I sat there for a moment, my phone still recording the empty air. Then I ordered dessert. Michael came over that evening. I didn't ask him to. I just texted him. "I need to show you something. Please come by the house." He arrived at 7 p.m. looking confused and tired. She wasn't with him. For the first time in 5 years, I saw my son without her attached to his arm. "Mom, are you okay? What's going on?" "Sit down, sweetheart," I said. He sat on the couch. I sat across from him in my armchair, the same chair his father had died in, the same chair I'd cried in 1,000 times. I hit play on my phone. His wife's voice filled the room. "I only want what's best for him." Michael's face went blank. "Those pieces were just sad, reminders of a past that's gone." He looked away. "I knew you'd come around. Michael said you were stubborn." His jaw clenched. And then the part where she admitted it, where the mask completely fell away. "You think you can fix this, but Michael is mine now, Dorothy. He belongs to me, and there's nothing you can do about it." My son's hands covered his face. I heard him make a sound, something between a sob and a gasp. When he looked up, his eyes were red, wet. "Michael, how long?" His voice was hoarse. "How long did you know?" "A few weeks," I said. "I hired an investigator. I found out about the power of attorney, the will, the insurance policy she forged." "She forged." He couldn't finish the sentence. "Yes, sweetheart. She forged your signature on a $500,000 life insurance policy where she's listed as the beneficiary." He stood up, started pacing. "This isn't real. This can't be real. She loves me," she said. "She said a lot of things," I interrupted gently, but none of it was true. He looked at me. The realization was happening in real time. I could see it crossing his face like a shadow. All the isolation, all the lies, all the times she'd told him I didn't care about him. All the times she'd convinced him his business was failing. All the times she'd made him feel worthless so he'd cling to her harder. "I've lost everything," he whispered. "My business, my money, you. You haven't lost me," I said. "I'm right here." He collapsed back onto the couch like his strings had been cut. I reached over and took his hand. He wept. Not pretty tears, not restrained tears. The kind of tears that come from deep inside when your entire world shifts, when you realize you've been played, when you understand that the person you trusted most in the world had been planning to destroy you the entire time. By the end of the night, he'd called a lawyer. By the end of the week, he'd filed for divorce. By the end of the month, the police had charged her with forgery, fraud, and financial abuse. 3 months later, Michael came to my house on a Saturday morning, just like he used to, before her, before everything. He was carrying a velvet box. My hand started shaking before he even opened it. "I got these back," he said quietly. "From the charity. They had a record of the donation. I went in person and explained. They understood. They gave me everything. Inside was every piece. My engagement ring, my mother's pearls, the diamond earrings my husband had given me, every single thing she'd stolen." Michael placed the box in my hands. "I'm sorry, Mom," he whispered. "I'm so sorry. I should have seen it. I should have—" "You couldn't have," I said. "She was good at what she did." "I almost lost you," he said. "Completely. If you hadn't done what you did." He didn't finish. He didn't need to. I held the velvet box against my chest. My jewelry, my diamonds, my pearls, my proof that I had always been loved. But as I sat there with my son who was finally awake, finally home, I felt something I didn't expect. Not relief. Not triumph. Guilt. Because I'd become exactly like her. I'd manipulated. I'd deceived. I'd set a trap and watched it spring. I'd used lies as a weapon. The only difference was that my lies had saved my son's life instead of destroying it. But does that make it better? Does the outcome justify the method? I looked at Michael. He was staring at the box in my hands like it was the most precious thing in the world. And maybe it was. Maybe a son who was finally safe was worth becoming someone I didn't recognize. Or maybe I'd always been capable of this. Maybe I'd just never had a good enough reason to find out. I held the pearls up to the light. My mother had worn these. On the day she married my father. On the day I was born. On the day she lay dying in a hospital bed and made me promise to keep them safe. Proof that I'd always been loved. But what was the price of that love? And how far would I go next time to protect it? I wondered if I'd ever really know.